Welcome back to Dr. Drill's Making Motivation podcast, where it is our mission to honor both interesting and authentic people and tell their motivating stories. In the process, we aim to inspire and inform, put smiles on faces and a little fire under the asses of the masses. Today is Sunday, March 3rd, 2024 at 11 a.m. And I've got some more motivators from the old unit, Charlie Company, 1st Battalion, 6th Marines. I would like to introduce you folks, the listener, to my friends, Mike Beck and Eddie Stone. Welcome, guys.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys coming on. You know, takes a little bit of little leverage, applying a little leverage, but I think we got a good head of steam here, interviewing some of the old guys. Check it out to the listener. If you look at our garb, you can see we got some attention getters. We're going to do a little show and tell, some conversation pieces for this episode of Making Motivation. These hats are authentic. I mean, they got these friggin' men have actually covers that they swapped. Probably your piss cutters.
Yeah. Yeah, just for a regular cami cover.
Yeah. Oh, fucking cami cover. So we call our hats in the Corps a cover. And there's a piss cutter, which looks like a little friggin'. My dad, he used to refer to it. He was in the Army. He used to refer to it as a cunt cap, which I thought was even more vulgar than piss cutter. But anyway, the standard ball cap, Marine Corps ball cap, these guys swapped with Ukrainian soldiers back in 1994. And so that was that's pretty interesting. And mine, I was desperate and nobody would swap with me. So I went to a freaking street vendor. And I think mine's got a little freaking tinges of purple in there. And cool little ear flaps. And of course, it doesn't fit my head. It's pulling my eyebrows up out of my fucking head. But tell us about the circumstances that led to you motivators getting those hats. How did it transpire?
Probably a lot of alcohol.
Well, you guys were wearing, wait a second now, because would you be wearing your covers? It must have been during training or something like that, no?
Yeah, true.
Yeah, mine was. I don't know if you remember when they came over.
Yeah,
when they came over, that's when I traded for mine.
Yes.
When they did the training at Lejeune.
That was.
Oh yeah, I think I got mine at the rifle range.
Yeah. That was cool. So for the listener, what happened is in '94, we got on a Navy ship and went out on what's called a Marine Expeditionary Unit, or a MEU. And it was the 22nd, so they called it 22nd MEU. And so we did all this work up to that, and we got on these amphibious ships. And in the past podcast with Pudge and Rumpler, I talked about how in the back of that ship, there was like a tailgate that would go down, and then all the Amtraks, those amphibious tanks, they would blast out of there and bob up and down and go ship to shore. So that was during this time, and we pulled into Ukraine, Odessa, Ukraine, and what an incredible experience that was. But anyway, those guys would later come and visit us. So that's how this happened. They came to Lejeune, and that when I mentioned they smelled like a fresh leather belt. You guys remember how they smelled?
Yeah,
they fucking stunk, bro. You guys tell me about that port and that specific experience, because I have my memories on pulling into Odessa. But what were you guys thinking when we pulled into the Ukraine?
Well, Odessa, that was the first time an American ship had been there in 50 some years.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, and so that's why it was the big dog and pony show. Remember how we had everything on the deck, and they came and they took tours and looked at everything.
I do remember that now. So you what do they call it when we stand around the rails? Did we do that when we pulled in? We were all on the rails.
I think we did that as we pulled in, but no, we also they had helos, they had snipers, they had people dressed up. They got to come walk around the ship, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that was pretty friggin' neat. How about you, Eddie? You remember that? What were you thinking?
Yeah, well, I just remember looking at that big set of stairs, right?
Yeah,
right
yeah.
You're like, hey, we got to walk up those things.
Yeah. I think we PT'd there one time, ran up those stairs, and we were talking about bullet holes in there's a monument or something up top, and the history of winning their independence, and that reportedly there were bullet holes. But I remember running up that, maybe our squad or platoon, whatever. But we went out of town and we got to run up those stairs. It was pretty friggin' neat.
Yeah, we did the same. Got chased around by all the dogs that were running the streets.
Oh yeah,
and you're out on a run.
Hell yeah. I remember pulling in there and thinking, like, my only comparison is, like, I thought it was going to be, well, maybe it did seem like that. We expected to be greeted by, like, Ivan Drago, because we knew about Russia was like all the stuff in the movies about Rambo and you name it, they were villains. And so we pulled in, we're like, shit, former Russia. I do remember now that the ship had not pulled in there. But when we pulled in, man, I thought they were going to fucking hate us. They had smiles on their face.
Oh, so welcoming.
Ear to ear, man.
Yeah.
That was pretty incredible. And then you guys remember we started showing them around the ship, as you said, Mike. But then remember when we showed them our line training? Remember we showed them our hand-to-hand combat system?
Yeah.
What was that like? Stone, you're a grappler. You think those guys, they're fucking motivators, man. They're sinuous strength.
Yeah, they were breaking bottles on their heads and all kinds of other shit. They were looking at us like we were silly for doing our line training.
Oh my God. You talk about realistic training. One of the things we always would a goal, since what the time period that we served was peacetime, and but we always say realistic training, and the more you sweat in peace, the less you bleed in war and all that stuff. So we certainly trained really hard, but our hand to hand, we would do it and it would be rigorous, but it was like by the numbers. Like, so if Stone grabs,
pull,
dude, ready, one, and that's how you learn it. So we're going to deconstruct it like a reductionist approach. But so we would do that, ready, by the numbers, and then, okay, everybody sweep, and then everybody would kick their leg up and sweep the guy's leg out and do a head stomp. And it was pretty cool when we would do it full throttle. You could see how it might be pretty neat, but way impractical, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way
I think that's why they moved away from that.
Yeah. So that's simple. I remember the one school that I did go to was pretty neat, was that close combat instructor course. And that was what it was all about. I mean, they did other elements. They did boxing. They did some other shit. But the Brazilian jiu-jitsu and all that stuff had not been integrated yet. There were elements. Obviously, a leg sweep is a old-time jiu-jitsu thing. But, yeah, it's come a long way. Now it's called McMap training. All right. So what else you guys remember about Odessa?
I remember walking into the bars and being a young kid ordering alcohol. They gave you a full fifth and a full jug of orange juice.
Oh my God. I don't remember that shit, dude. No. I do remember the stretchers coming back to this. I do remember the stretchers coming back to shit.
I remember a lot of people in sick bay.
Yeah.
IVs.
Oh, you remember anybody on one of those stretchers coming back on those shit?
No.
That was dangerous, man. Very, very dangerous.
Yeah,
that was a rough port for Libo.
We didn't. I think we were only out at night, and I got my Libo revoked. The mental and air broke off from us to go get handies or hook up with some hookers, and the freaking captain comes into the bar and he's like, "Where's your Libo partners?" And it's me and O'Brien. And I'm like, I said, "Oh, they're in the head." So they wait and they don't come out. And captain goes, like, nobody's in the head. I'm like, you know what? They might have went back to the other bar and used the head at the other bar. Anyways, we couldn't find them. So we got our Libo revoked after one night.
That sucks, man. Probably saved you from yourselves though.
Probably.
What was the captain? You remember? It wasn't McClellan.
No, I don't, because I remember McCabe was our lieutenant. I don't remember who that first captain was.
Was it Wells or was it McClernand? Remember Captain McClernand?
It might have been McClernand. Wells was Was Wells with us in Okie?
No.
Wells was right when we first got there.
And then we had Wells, and then we had Monahan, Captain Monahan. He was pretty cool. You know, he made major, I thought. He had been like a football guy or something. He was pretty well liked. And then I thought it was Captain McClernand, and then Binns, the dark green guy. He was Captain Binns, who got
relieved.
He
fell out of his own run.
Fell out of his own fucking run.
Yeah, we had Captain McClernand.
McClernand?
Yeah, he was the company CO.
Man, we used to have some fun with him, that fucking guy. I remember he was big, as I mentioned it in the last. Yeah. I remember he kind of had this look like this. My Marines. And they fucking, he was mentioned in the previous podcast where he was really insistent on like realistic camouflage. And so he wanted to make sure that we were doing the McCrest or whatever, working up to the float. He wanted everybody to have like whatever. And I remember we went in combat town one time, and he came in the house we were clearing after we cleared it. And he had his like, he had like Charlie's Angels, like his 9mm. We all got machine guns and shit, you know, and cleared everything. He comes in, he's like, this fucking cami netting on his helmet's flying off. Jesus. Yeah, well, that was definitely a memorable trip. And we got these mementos. So I dig this out. I asked my wife, hey, where the hell is my friggin' hat, my rabbit fur hat? And this is, I mean, I don't think there's anything real or synthetic that is better than this. This must be real fucking real rabbit fur. And it's awesome. So I treasure it. What else you guys got there in terms of show and tells?
Our float book.
What we got? What's some goodness from that, dude?
Oh, just everything. Pitchers sitting around in the berthing area playing cards. Pitchers on the freaking. What do we got here? Freaking rock climbing in Spain.
Oh, cool.
Bravo company using their nice boats that they had versus the tracks that we had.
Oh yeah, I don't know. How you guys feel about that? How you guys feel about?
Look at that guy there.
Oh God,
all year.
Yeah,
Sleeping.
We definitely got to get him on this fucking podcast. One thing I was going to ask about.
Well, here's one real quick. Who's that?
Oh, nice, Ed.
Little favorite.
With the BC glasses, birth control.
Oh, fucking birth control glasses. Yeah, you know, when I think about the Ponce ship that we were on, I can kind of smell. Can you take yourself back and you remember like walking through our compartment or from our berthings through those different compartments or berthings?
The steam
going out into the well deck, and you remember that smell?
It was like a steam smell.
Paint, steam, a little blast of heat. The fucking non-skid. Remember that non-skid shit that was everywhere?
Yeah.
And walking down the well deck, not the well deck, but yeah, the well deck would be where the tracks were, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those like metal ridges on the ramp as you went down there, we would all sit there. Some of those smells come back. They say that the sense of smell is one of the keenest of our five senses, and it's like memories are saved with it. So I can smell the friggin' Ponce and all the friggin' paint and non-skid and farts and all that stuff. Fucking berthing life, man. Who'd you guys rack with? Who?
I forget who's. I was on top since I was one of the tallest, so I could have more knee room up to the pipes. But yeah, I wouldn't have wanted to been one of the guys below.
No, hell, fuck no.
Yeah, ours went Barry, me, Air, Metal.
4 high.
Yeah.
Climbing down those fucking things. So you mentioned earlier to trigger a memory. I was always kind of fair weather spades player. Who was the best spades player in the berthing?
I don't know. I was pretty good. Tillman was pretty good. Hey, he was pretty good. I don't know if you remember him.
Who?
Jerome Cruz.
Ray.
Cruz.
Old
Cruz.
DJ Ray.
Yeah. Some of our dark greens.
Yeah. In my berthing, I'm going to say it was Hickman, man. Hickman was a fucking very accomplished spades player. Whitehurst, he was really good. Leon Cobbs, he would come, Staff Sergeant Cobbs, he'd come down there and they laugh and carry on. That was the loudest spades table right there. Cobbs, Whitehurst, fucking Hickman, and a few others, man. They were good. They taught me how to play spades, but I never really approached their proficiency with the thing. But it killed a lot of time.
No, yeah.
And seemed like a pretty cool game. I remember they call it Big Mo, Little Mo.
Mm-hmm.
Big Mo. Whitehurst would say, Big Mo, motherfucker.
And they'd take the cards all the way back, and it was like, bam!
Slam it down. I just ran a Mo on
The
know,
trash talk around those tables. Great. I'm surprised there weren't more fights.
Yeah. Serious, man. You guys ever have your berthing ever meltdown, like with fights or anything like that? Anybody lose their shit?
We had some heated conversations. Nothing that ever went full swing, but I think Spellhug and I one time got into a confrontation. I don't remember what it was about, but
fucking close fucking proximity, man. Living right on top of people. It's fucking incredible.
You know, we'd always get pissed at Pimentel because he'd go out and get drunk, and he was on the top rack, and he'd always piss. I was like, fast. You'd have to put poncho liners up, and so we wouldn't get peed on if you're underneath.
Oh my God.
Nah.
That's terrible, man. It's terrible and it sucked, but I feel like it's something everybody should do, like there's a lot of things we're going to get to talking about, some of the stuff that we miss and that we don't miss. But I feel like you better, as a result of living in such close quarters. And I use the phrase a lot in explaining to people about service is like, at least in the grunts, nothing was sacred, so like you had to deal with people that you might not under any other circumstances in life.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know them. You wouldn't associate with them.
That's why we never looked at anybody as a race. It was light green or dark green.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we all bled green.
Yeah. That was pretty cool, because I feel like that's something that the world desperately needs, is just people being thrust into a situation together and having to work through it. And, and I think about some of the guys in my unit or whatever, our berthing, we had some meltdowns and shit like that. But if there was, I'll introduce to the listener the concept of breaking ranks, right? So as much as you might be at the throats of the guys that you serve with, sometimes, and not necessarily like one another and even hate one another at times, you have to be able to work together. And so that maybe later that day you'd be out on a patrol or something like that, or God forbid, if we had, gotten off to combat, we would have to rely even on the people that we didn't necessarily enjoy their company. Can't just walk away, I think that destroys a lot of the animosity and promotes respect. So, but yeah, shipboard life is pretty awesome. So we're going to get back to some show and tells, but I just want to quick talk about your foundation. So what motivated you Devil Dogs to join the Corps? And what motivated you to join, and did it meet your expectations? Go ahead, Stone.
My own family was military, pretty much, not Marine Corps, but Army. So I kind of knew at a, younger age that I wanted to go into the Marine Corps.
Same.
I had a pretty decent recruiter, who's now the chief of police at a town over.
Oh, cool.
So the area as well. But yeah, it's kind of something I was always going to do, I guess. And I'd say it met my expectations. I enjoyed everything we did there. The people that you meet, and obviously we still keep in touch. To today. With some of the guys.
Yeah.
Months ago, I had Tillman up here. He stayed up for about a week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and hung out. So
we got to get him on here. That's great. How's he doing?
He's doing good. He's a little beat up. Body's a little. It's seen better days.
Yeah.
He's had a lot of operations on stuff. So
yeah, I had spoken to him about some of that.
He did a lot more stuff after he got out than we did.
Yeah. So we're gonna corner him and get him on this podcast, man, because I think this one of you guys said that he's probably do just an entire podcast just on him. He's an interesting guy. He's got some experiences. So we're gonna get him definitely on here. We love you, Tillman. How about you there, Beck?
I was a kid walking down the hallway in high school, 17 years old, actually 16, knew I wasn't going to college. I was done with school. Saw a recruiter walking down the hallway. Went and talked to him. He sold me, told my mom about it. She's like, there's no way I'm signing those papers. You can wait till you're 18. I said, go talk to him. She walked out of there, paper signed. It was in the what they call that, the dep or the pool.
Yeah, the dep.
Yeah, I was in that for 6 months. And that was it, off to boot camp.
Yeah. It's pretty, when I think about so I'm sorry, what did it meet your expectations?
I didn't know what I was getting into. So my expectations were open. I knew I was like, what the F did I sign up for? Boot camp, someone in your face screaming, running, the island hopping campaigns between all the volleyball pits with the chiggers.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't something I looked forward to, but like looking back after it, like just the stupid stuff that people said to drill instructors and how pissed off they got. You just laugh. The whole experience of the Marine Corps, absolutely phenomenal. I think every kid, like Israel did, how they, you have to do, like, what was it? Women had to do 2 years, men had to do 4 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
I think that's something that the United States could benefit from. All kids going some type of military.
Absolutely.
I know it worked for me.
Yeah, I think about that a lot, man. What was it? And one of the things that comes to mind about, like, the recruiter experience, which could be in a podcast unto itself. It's if, they say that the Marine Corps, I've heard it said that regarding budget, that the Marine Corps, that the three service, the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force get a third of a loaf of bread, and the Marine Corps gets the crumbs. So that we've kind of developed a reputation on doing a lot with a little.
Yeah.
Resources, which is, I love that philosophy. It's like the underdog philosophy, right? Like doing, you're going to win regardless. The chips are down. We don't have the best gear. We don't, whatever, but that's like a great thing. But the one area the Marine Corps always seemed to be really, really good at it. And I'd like to know the history on it. I'm sure they give it in recruiter school. They fucking got the recipe for, corralling, getting the attention of young men and women, and tapping into that, that wanderlust. Like I'm finishing high school. School is such a friggin' drag. I'm not like college material necessarily. I want to test myself. I'm tough. I want to prove it. That you want to scream at me, okay? And then I remember it being at the recruiting office and visiting and seeing like, hey, there's Beck. He just went off to Paris Island. And he's going to become, he just sent a letter back, and look what and then Beck comes back, and you got the friggin', the dress blues, and you look.
And that's what they do. They parade you down the hallway in your dress blues.
Yeah.
And that's part of it too. You see the kid that went, the year before you, and you're like, wow.
Yeah.
Look at him now.
The transformation, right?
Yeah.
You know, it is definitely something that I would love, you know, my kids to, and they're 15 and 16 now. And on some level, I would really love them to have a similar experience, some sort of finishing school, some sort of like, all right, you think the world is this way, go here and work hard, and suffer, and, you know, work with other people and find out some things about the world and about yourself. I feel like that was a very important aspect for me. I found out something, you know, what my potential was, and they cultivated a lot of things. Like the reason, I'll turn it over to you guys on your thoughts on this, but one of the reasons why I'm doing this Making Motivation podcast is because that experience is so powerful to me that everything, it's impossible to get out after a period of honorable service and then not shine that light and that experience on everything in your life, you know, like the way you walk, the way you interact, the way your work ethic and shit like that. It's a very special thing. And so, you guys have any thoughts on that sort of stuff? The making of Marines, the boot camp experience, and how it could help.
I mean, it instills discipline, some type of, you know, self-pride,
Yeah.
motivation for every day with how you interact with people. You know, being a parent, how you raise your kids.
Yeah.
I've been told before I'm too militant.
Or,
or maybe your kids aren't militant enough.
Yeah, just a standard, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I think about it like, and Stone again. I mentioned earlier. I know you grew up wrestling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you see her Pudge say, "Oh yeah, Stone, we used to wrestle." You listen to that podcast?
No, I haven't listened to that one yet, but
it's good.
Like I rolled with Tillman, you know, rolled with Pudge. Like, yeah, it's, you know, my kids, they're more into, the oldest, he's in jiu-jitsu, you know, so he's been doing that for a few years now.
It's awesome.
Which I think is good. It goes back to like the, you know, it's a very structured, you know, place that he goes. So he has that structure at home, and then he has that structure outside of the home, so he can see like, hey, this is how stuff really should work.
Yeah. And it's a chess. It's like a human chess game. Like I did, you know, obviously the Marine Corps stuff, whatever, but I did a little jujitsu, and it's like a human chess game, right? You know, like you're learning you're not trying to fucking hurt the person. You need them to train. You're trying to strategize, and I think it's all extrapolatable to life, you know? So, I was saying in a previous podcast that one of my early memories was when we first arrived as the sun started to go down, somebody was in a volleyball pit and below the, you know, in front of the barracks. And then somebody ran down and wrestled them, and that person got his ass kicked. And then the next guy came down, and they're running down the catwalk and calling each other out and shit. And just that sort of like, I use the analogy like Lord of the Flies, you know what I mean? Like you're in a situation, there's a pecking order. Everybody's trying to figure out where they live in this pecking order. And it's like the gauntlet is constantly thrown. Like we're competing in some way. And the term meritocracy comes to mind. Like you are part of this unit by your own merit, you know? So like, regardless of rank or any of that stuff, the respect that you're able to command just by being Beck or Stone or, you know, or whoever. And we know, well, I'm sure we can all think of individuals who, like, just by virtue of the way they operate in everything, in the PT and, you know, the barracks life in the field, like they were a good shit. They were a good fucker, you know, they were a good Marine. And then there's nothing better than that. If you can feel like if you can do that and survive in this crazy environment, the confidence that leaves you feeling with is fucking unbelievable, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And we can think of people that maybe didn't really rise in the meritocracy for whatever reason and really struggled. And it was, you know, sometimes you felt bad for them because they were like punching bags, you know?
Messner.
Messer.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had Clark.
Clark. I don't know if I remember him.
Yeah, I don't remember him. Everybody knew freaking Messner, though. The dude that lived 2 hours away and got lost driving home. Wrecked his car, got it freaking impounded.
Yeah, there's a lot of, well, the thing is too, man, I'm not to license those guys for being whatever, but we were so fucking young.
No, absolutely.
I mean, like, remember DPP?
No.
You don't remember DPP, deferred payment plan? It was like the military.
Yeah.
Brought in your ID to the PX and you're like, hey, would you buy, somebody goes in there like, hey, I can get, this is my limit. I'm going to spend up to the limit. They go buy all kinds of fucking shit at the PX. Can I put this on DPP?
Getting the phone cards.
Oh, fucking phone cards. I remember I'd go, cause we're all meatheads, right? We're all working out, I get, that the creatine was around back in the day. I remember going to that, health store in the PX and getting, experimental and applied sciences. It was really good. Tastes great. But yeah, put that shit on DPP, man. Get one of those and one of those as well. But the guy, I wrote a story years ago about I call it the Bolden Rule. Remember Bolden?
The name sounds familiar, but I don't remember his.
So Bolden, I thought he was in one of the line platoons.
Oh, the little guy.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
So remember Bolden?
Yeah.
I mean, so this guy, he was
older.
He was a little older. He's dark green, and I call the Bolden Rule because this guy, like, he would on a hump, and we were all fucking obviously, some of us are taller or shorter or whatever. You're fucking getting that stride. You got all your fucking pack straps digging in. You're leaning forward. If you're unfortunate, maybe you got a fucking flak jacket or a helmet on. You're suffering. It just sucks trying to keep your interval. But Bolden was like really, really short.
He had to get a waiver to join the Marine Corps. That's right.
So he would fucking. I remember in the O course, the first section where do a pull up and roll over the thing or whatever. He had to shimmy up. He'd go to the side because he couldn't reach the fucking pull up bars. He would go to the side like a telephone pole. He'd shimmy up the telephone pole, and then he would get to the thing, and then he would go. I'm like, this guy's doing shit 10 times harder than everybody. This is already not terribly difficult for young guys, but it was challenging. It was rigorous. He would fucking suffer through this whole thing and shimmy that rope at the end. And I'm like, oh my God, Bolden. But I don't know what kind of Marine he was beyond that. But this fucking guy, he would hang in a hump. He would hang right up there.
He was all heart.
All heart.
Besides, one time I remember we were in a hump. He was in front of me. He started falling out. We started divvying up his gear. Someone took his weapon, started taking shit out of his pack, lighting it up, and I had his collar holding him. I had to push him for whatever the last distance that we had, 1-2 miles.
That's terrible. I mean, I would say shit. I mean, he got the waiver, so he got in. He got what he wanted, and I'm sure he's a friggin' hard charge. Hopefully, he's still around. He's a hard charge to this day, but holy shit. I mean, this guy, it's such a disadvantage in a lot of ways. But he still was freaking gritty, there's all kinds of characters around the barracks there. Who were you guys? So we came in 93, 90 boot camp, right? Whether we're whatever battalion, and we show up at the unit. Who was your first and third platoons? Who was the leadership?
Lieutenant Ski and Staff Sergeant Frazier.
I remember Ski.
Yeah, he was a good dude.
And Frazier was a good dude too, right?
He was good, but he was intense.
I remember that. And there was a counterpart in the other platoon. Who was the was it in first? Who was the dark green guy, real jacked? Glover.
No, he was in third.
He was in third.
He's with me. Yeah.
I remember that dude on ship. He'd always be down there in that area where the tracks were.
Yeah, yeah.
And he always had his freaking broom handle and doing his crunches and his freaking side twist.
Yeah, he had friggin' impressive. He was jacked, that dude.
Oh, ripped.
I remember though he said one time, I questioned this. I don't know if it was fucking Frazier or Glover, but one of them said, I don't drink any water when I go out there because you can't be, you don't want to be spoiled. You don't want to, like conservation, like you want to be adapted to even survival without hydration. I'm like, motherfucker, I'm hydrating, dude. I got 2 full canteens and I'm looking for a water bowl to fill those bitches up. Yeah. Stone, you were first? No, you were third.
Third. Yeah.
So who
we had, I believe at the time we had McCabe and Glover. And McCabe that guy was an idiot.
Lieutenant, second lieutenant?
Yeah. He's one when we were, talking about the Ukraine, we went out on a run and we were stretched. I mean, he knew we were all out drinking the night. He took us out on some like death run and we were strung out for, I don't know, a mile, the whole platoon. And when it got down to it, it was just me and Tillman were left with him. And I'd call cadence and Tillman would scream it back at the top of his lungs. And we're just like yelling at each other that McCabe told us to shut the fuck up while running. So we got to those stairs and we just blew by him. Because he was out there trying to prove a point and
Oh, he was going to run you guys into the dirt, sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah. But me and Tillman were in pretty decent shape.
Yeah.
So we left him when we got to the stairs, but that was funny. Just the two of us calling cadence. Everybody getting chased by dogs.
Oh yeah, man. Oh fucking yeah. Let's see. Yeah, because I showed up. It was Staff Sergeant Cobbs and Lieutenant Cooper. He was good. He was a good dude. So we had a pretty decent. So the platoon sergeants. How about squad leaders?
Who did we have? Patterson.
Yeah.
Shit, I can't remember now. Oh, Corporal Allen.
I remember the name.
Allen was a dude where he was standing in front of a judge, and the judge is like, okay, you go to jail for X amount of time or you join the Marine Corps. And he's like, I'll join the Marine Corps. He ended up becoming one of those guys that every time they had a board, he went from the board, It was one of those feel good stories for him.
Yeah.
Who else did we have?
I don't really remember ours.
Who had Swinehart? Remember Swinehart is a name.
Swinehart
He was yours, right? Third?
Yeah, he was in third. Always driving up to Jersey every weekend.
Yeah. Patterson too, man. I think I swooped on with Patterson there. Has anybody got any word from him? How's he?
No. I just remember Swinehart could put his hands in his cargo when he was standing up because his arms were so long.
You could put his hand in his cargo?
Yeah.
You put him in
a regular pocket. He put him in his cargo pockets.
Oh man.
Back to you, everybody talking about their first time rolling in the 1-6 that first day. We're all walking and then talking about the next day, Captain Wells taking on us on that freaking run, that death run. Welcome the 1-6 run.
Yeah.
You remember how we stopped one time? We were around some pond, some open field. He was making us do flutter kicks.
Yeah.
He said, we're not going to move unless we can give them the aeronautical miles of some freaking helo, because he was an air wing guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I believe that's where he came from.
Wells was?
Yeah. And we're all sitting there looking at each other like, what the fuck's this guy want to know?
I remember. I didn't know that. You know, some of the shit's kind of interesting. Like first sergeants, I know that they could wind up. I don't know if they have to, but part of their tour is they have to be a first sergeant in a line company, or is it any company? Like, how did that? We had some first sergeants who were squared away, and others who were kind of like that last guy from Okie, Messner or whatever, Menzer.
Yeah.
He wasn't like he wasn't a grunt.
No, I think they had to do. I think you're right though. To certain rank, you had to spend time in the line company.
Yeah. The fucking comes to mind. We're kind of addressing it here. Is like the responsibility of a boot lieutenant, like we call them butter bars, but the second lieutenant, they get out of their training or whatever, hosts officer candidate school and the basic school and all that stuff, and they train these guys up to be the best and leaders. And I'm sure the training is also phenomenal. But what a responsibility! What a call! What a situation to find yourself in. Now you show up at a fucking unit, and there's a bunch of guys who've been in for a couple years on the enlisted side that are really squared away and know their shit, and they have to like be humble, but at the same time they're expected to lead, right? Can you guys think of some examples of that where they tried too hard or felt or they could do it, or they couldn't do it?
One with good old Doug Berry telling, I think it was Lieutenant Wood, which nobody liked. That guy was he should have been in a cubicle.
Yeah,
that's what that guy was. But we were out doing some op, and Lieutenant Wood was very adamant on, well, no, we got to do it this way, guys, whatever. And Barry's like, sir, we'll try your way, and then I'll show you my way, and you tell me which way you like. Sure enough, we got done doing Barry's way, and Lieutenant Wood was like, we're going to do it your way, Sergeant Barry.
So now was he blonde haired? Was he blonde haired?
Yeah, glasses.
Yeah, he kind of did he come off as a little effeminate?
He was whirly, yeah.
A little bit of a voice like that. He I remember
high pitched. Hey guys, yeah.
Yeah, so I think I remember him being a pretty. My interaction with him was minimal, but fairly nice guy. But I saw him struggling because, yeah, I mean, he just seemed like he was struggling. Again, you're thrown into this position where you got all these eyes on you, officers and enlisted, and if you can't, they want to see you rise, and it's a delicate business, man. I'm sure they got classes and lectures about how you're going to show up there, and there's going to be a lot of senior Marines that you need to rely on, but yet simultaneously you need to be able to lead. So like the best case scenario in my view would be for them to go be paired up with a capable platoon sergeant who just, hey, let me bounce this off of you. What is the azimuth on this? Like classically, the classic lieutenant thing is that they go out and get lost. Their land nav isn't sharp, which land nav, it's very humbling for a lot of people. But anyway, I remember that dude. So Lieutenant Wood, he said something. He was talking about the consequences if they didn't do something right, and he's like, yeah, I was just Marines. I just came over from the company office, and man. It sucked. I was trying to run it by the CO, and I was like, sucking that dick, something like that. If it's the same guy, he was funny as shit, but I remember he had something happened. Maybe it was in Okie where one of the lieutenants got in trouble. It was something like gear that was missing or whatever, and he wound up taking the heat for it, even though it wasn't necessarily justified. But if it's a guy I'm thinking about, he was easy pickings for bullies, which that's the environment was. We're kind of like, it's a bullying environment, or at least but anyway, lieutenants coming in. I'm trying to think of some lieutenants we had, but Lieutenant Cooper, he was squared away, nice guy, good way about him. And I don't know if you guys knew it, but if you see him online, he's looks like he runs the Toys for Tots program or something.
Really?
If not entirely, it definitely he's a big player. Seems like he's doing that right now. So it's good to see him out there.
Didn't we have an XO get relieved during our time in?
I think so. Rings a bell. Who might that have been?
I can't remember. He's a
I
big
know he had
guy.
a sergeant major, in Portugal that he got relieved.
Yeah, because he never came back to ship.
They never back to the ship before we left.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sergeant Major of was it the MEU? Or 1/6?
1/6.
Yeah, dark green guy.
Yeah,
Really?
never made it back on the boat.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting to me about shit like that is like so we're talking about our leadership when we show up. So we were fucking basically boys, I think about that time period, 18 to 22. We were young men. And so we always looked at our leadership, whether it was enlisted or officer, we kind of gave them credit as being like really friggin' super duper squared away and without flaw. But these people were struggling, just as much as anybody else. They're all human beings, you know what I mean? So they all got shit, they can bounce checks just like the rest of us. They could, get drunk and do stupid shit. They were most of them are still under 32, but we looked at them as like, whoa, when you show up there, your squad, you're like, oh, yes, sir. Willie Jean Whitehurst, you can do no wrong, I'll follow your lead. And they taught us well, but they were, that's one of the things. It's almost like, to me, it's like your parents growing up, I assumed that the adults, in my life had everything figured out and everything. I got to go to school. What a bummer. And meanwhile, your parents are fucking out there working a job that they like or they hate, and they're stressed out about doing whatever they got to do. I assume the adults in the room had it all together. And I think about that more and more I'm kind of apolitical, but it's frustrating to me that like there are young Marines out there right now under the command of a government that is, I don't know, it's kind of embarrassing. You know what I mean? Like the shit that we are asked to do, like we're going to go out, the Marines are going to go out there and they're going to train their fucking asses off and they're going to sacrifice. They're going to be fucking sitting in fighting holes. They're going to be beating each other up. And they're going to do this and to protect all that we hold dear. And the politicians are playing their games and just, it's embarrassing. Like if that was a grunt unit, then these people would be relieved,
Yeah.
That is one problem that I have. I continually goes up. If you listen to any of my other stuff, I did one about my son got a solicitation from Marine Corps recruiting. So I opened up the mail and I fucking looked at it and I'm like Samuel Oberst. I'm like, holy shit! I like flash back to 1990 or something like that. And I'm like, whoa! I'm thinking flashbacks. Guy with the fucking rope on his shoulder with the half of the dress blues and cami on the other side and all the weaponry and all the fucking commercials and the slaying dragons and all this shit. I'm like, whoa, my son, I thought about it before, and then I think about like when we were so young, we didn't fucking know about or care about the political shit. Like we were a little bit aware. I know that patriotism was running high because we had just done the
Gulf War.
The Gulf War, so all of our recruiters pretty much from the Gulf War or whatever, and they came back with stories, and we wanted to be heroes and all that shit. But we didn't think about you hear what fucking Bill Clinton did today. We don't know, or what the senator's fucking up to over there. We were just like, let's locate and close with the enemy. We got to go to the armory at 5 a.m., And I like the simplicity of that. It's like we're berserkers and we're going to do our squad shit and attack this thing, but that's our entire purview. We literally were like pawns on a chessboard. And all I would ask of our leaders, military or civilian, would be to keep that in mind when you're fucking committing troops anywhere or making decisions. But I don't, that's the thing. Like, I always thought that there was some cloak and dagger motherfuckers who were like, whatever, CIA, whatever, who were reading the plays and making sure that we were properly purposed. And it turns out that the leaders, the adults in the room, had no fucking clue what's going on either.
No.
And that's a shame. But you guys got any? Now I know you guys both said that you would like to have your children have the experience like this. Like, what if your kids came and said, "Hey, you know, I'd like to join the Corps"? What would you say?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't be a good. They'll make sure they can do something, you know, go in with an MOS where you can do something outside, you know.
Yeah.
Not a real need for infantrymen in the civilian world.
No.
It's true. It's true, man. And that
Hey, real quick, my bunkmate at boot camp, he went in open contract.
yeah.
The dude scored so high on his ASVAB that he got to go work on night vision shit.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But I don't know, bro. I didn't friggin' hit the ASVAB out of the park by any means, but I feel like if you're going to be in the Marine Corps, you're going to do the job. You know what I mean? Like I had a buddy that went in. My couple guys and I went on the buddy system, and he did real well in the ASVAB, and they made him an air traffic controller. He hated it. He fucking hated it. Another guy was a fucking helicopter mechanic, and he liked it. I just felt like, you know, I wanted to do what the guy on the poster was doing, you know?
Well, yeah, you think of the Marine Corps, you think infantry, shooting, war.
Yeah.
I think that guy was disappointed that he didn't get 03.
The
open enrollment guy, but
the night vision guy?
Yeah. I don't know. His schooling was like a year and a half long. I'm sure he got to go. I'm sure he's set up now.
Yeah.
Going to whatever schooling.
Yeah. That's why I feel like, yeah, same thing, you know. the different, you know, to get something out of it, I definitely maximize on the experience. It's just that I think that there's only, I could be wrong, but I feel like there's some intangibles that we got working in a grunt unit that we might not have gotten out of the experience had we been supply or something like that. I could be wrong, but
no, we got loyalty, we got leadership to a certain extent. I mean, the friendships that you build. I mean, look at us now.
Yeah,
from 1994 to 2024.
Yeah,
we're all sitting here talking, shooting the shit.
Yeah.
The couple birthdays I went on, you know, sitting here, we're actually the one year wearing the shirts that you got made for us. We were talking to some older cats. I don't know if you guys remember, but they were in 1-6. Yep. And as we're sitting here talking, these younger guys come walking up and they asked us, because I guess we looked more relevant, that we could have been still in. They're like, "Oh, you guys 1-6?" We're like, "No, we got out back in 97. They're like, "Oh, yeah, we were born around 97. But it was 3 generations of, you know, 1-6.
Yeah. Yeah. The fraternal, you know, I run across people are really independent, like Penn State, you know, somebody who, or Ohio State, or whatever it is. But people are really into their alma mater, let's say it's college or whatever. I don't think none of it, like as far as fraternal allegiance, a feeling of pride of belonging, like you're part of something. I don't think there's anything that's like the United States Marine Corps. I always say, like, outside of like rugby clubs, you never met like a rugby club or a jiu-jitsu dojo or whatever, but rugby clubs, there's guys playing into their fucking 50s. And this is they're all broken down and shit, but they just keep going. You know, I feel like Marines are like that. It's like there's still that spark in your eye, and that spring in your step that it's special. So I would want my kids to do that without a doubt, to have that experience. But I also would like, and I mentioned this in the previous podcast, I think there should be a civil service component too. Like, I really enjoyed the Guantanamo Bay thing. You know, our fucking trip to Gitmo. In fact, I have a map right here. Yeah, pull this baby out there. Let's smell it.
See, I didn't go on that. Me, Grant, and a couple other people. We actually got a FAP.
Where to?
Range control.
How was that?
Awesome.
Really?
All we did was go fucking drive around the 4-wheel drives all day on the back roads of every place that we trained. We pull up on a couple units out there doing some work, and we were Lance Corporals walking up, and we got first sergeants, gunnies walking up to us, you know, hey, is there anything, you know, is everything okay? You know, kissing our asses.
Yeah.
They were afraid we're going to go back and rat on them. We're like, no, everything's great. We're just like going around.
Just play your fucking cards right. Everything will be fine.
Going, shutting down. Oh shit! What was that one range where they shot the 50 cals? It went over a road, so we'd have to go to that section, close down the gates, sit there. Oh, we'd pull up on some of those. They'd be shooting different shit, and hey, you guys want to shoot this? No, sure.
Cool.
Yeah,
that's an interesting.
It was a good time.
Did you go to Gitmo there, Stone?
Yep, I was down in Guantanamo.
What do you think?
I mean, we got in really good shape down there.
We got in shape. We fucking lift hoisting weights and shit.
It's just hanging out at the beach, playing volleyball, grilling food, getting chased by iguanas.
That's pretty cool. Well, we get to help. You know, we get to help these people, the Balseros. I remember that the rafters, right? They, you know, it was just a different mission. And we all wanted to friggin' fight and kill and all that stuff, but I thought it was pretty cool to have something like that where you get to interact with people and help. I think it's good for a warrior too to have that instinct to help and do good, or even if it was something. I know they have the National Guard for this, but like, fuck, man, send my kids out there. They can do 2 years of friggin' military service, and then 2 years. I don't care if they're freaking walking around picking up cigarette butts or helping little old ladies across the street or whatever the hell they're doing, but do something that gives back. I think would be neat. I thought that was really cool. All right, let's go to our second volley of freaking show and tell. Show and tell. What do you got? Nice.
The lovely breakdown.
What do they call that? They had that. Did they have a specific term for that?
I forget. What
you guys are looking at right there, the listener, the viewer, this has got all the different components of the M16A2 service rifle. So you would be issued one of those in boot camp, and the original days, the beginning of our training. Every time we break down the rifle, you put that down on the ground, and you'd disassemble it and clean all the shit. That's how you'd remember the different components, and we knew them frontwards and backwards, and then we would reassemble, oil up our rifles, and the rifle was like us. It was like our life, right? The rifleman's creed.
It was an extension of us.
Yes, the rifle is an extension of your body. So weapons handling, weapons safety,
cleaning,
maintenance. It's great. Stone, what you got there?
Now I'm looking through one of these old,
Boot camp book.
Parris Island, your boot camp. Trying to see if I could find any of you two guys in here.
Well, you won't find me.
What's that there, Beck?
I said, you won't find me.
Uh,
I was 3rd Battalion.
Yeah, I was 2080, platoon 2080.
I was 3081.
And you're 2085, Stone?
Yeah, so I think you must have. When did you graduate boot camp? Were you before?
It's 1993 June. No, it was. If you were 2085, bro, then we probably went through together. Who was your drill instructor?
We had like Chisholm. Let's see. We had Chisholm. We had Crumbliss, Stables, and Conover.
I remember.
Well, you would have known Chisholm because he was a dark green Marine, but he was like every time we do drill in the barracks, when he pulled his sword, he would stick it in the ceiling. Because he was over like 6'6".
Oh yeah,
just a real tall guy.
I think I remember them. You guys remember a guy named Stump?
Stump?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember him?
I remember the name.
Do you remember him walking around in 2nd Battalion there, Stone?
Yeah, I remember him walking around, crawling under folks' beds. Like, I remember because they knew that I dipped. So when we'd go to like the rifle range, they'd like lay a tin of Copenhagen back there when you're pulling the targets down.
Yeah. Just
like, hey, feel free to go ahead and get one if you want one. Like, just trying to get you to get your ass in trouble.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That was interesting, but at the rifle range, pulling targets and shit like that.
Yeah, they don't even have his. He was 2086. Stump was, but they don't even have his picture. Like, he must have just been that new that they don't even have his picture in the book. They just got his name. Yeah.
He was kind of, from a recruit point of view, he was an evil motherfucker, man. Like he was
he was
the type of guy that was it didn't matter what platoon you're in. He was on the lookout for somebody to torture, to victimize. And he later, for the listener, this guy, notorious drill instructor, he would later commit suicide at the pool from the high dive, blew his head off. So in front of the recruits and shit that were doing swim qualification. So his wife, I don't know if you guys, because I looked up that story a while back, his wife is now like she's a psychologist, and she does a lot of work with veterans and trauma, PTSD. Who knows what the guy had experienced in the Gulf or whatever, but that made him into who he was. But the Marine Corps thing was his entire life. I think he had gotten in trouble. He got like a DUI or something. He was going to get passed over for promotion, and that was like perceived that as the end of his life. So, so that was terrible. But
wasn't he down there at the same time?
Yeah, I talked to Barry and Baker about him, and you know what? It was interesting because, again, our perceptions as recruits, right? Our drill instructors were like gods, but they said that he was, her opinion of him was not very high. Like,
yeah,
he was sadistic, yes, but he was not like the most top of the class or respected among drill instructors. That's what I remember hearing. That was a long time ago, so I can't confirm, and I don't speak ill of the dead, but I have checked this shit out.
There you go.
That's one of those.
Did you guys fall for this shit?
No.
What a fucking loser.
Low righty lefty.
Look at it. It's got Ton Tavern on the side. Ton Tavern on the side, and then it's got on the other side. What the fuck we got? Mount Suribachi fucking flag raising. Oh, and it didn't even fit. So you see, I got this little ring thing in there just so I could fit my little bony finger. And they're like, oh, listen, if you want any of this flair, we'll just deduct that from your first
Yeah.
paycheck. Don't worry. Oh, shit.
Hey,
Put me down for one of these.
remember getting your first paycheck? You're thinking, I got 3 months. I got all this money coming in. I haven't spent a dime. First paycheck, you're like, what the fuck?
And then we add the GI Bill shit in there too. They take out like I don't know how many.
Well, they didn't tell you that you were paying for all your uniforms too.
Oh, get the fuck out of here with the uniform shit. Jesus Christ, I got a uniform story. Fucking check this this disgusting conversation piece here for the viewer. I wanted to get something really unique when we were on deployment. So we went to Okinawa. From Okinawa, we went to Australia for like 2 weeks. And this is a kangaroo paw bottle opener. And you can see the stitching on the underside of this friggin' makeshift taxidermy. But it is really friggin' unique and interesting. This guy had all kinds of gator shit, gator wallets. Like I said, I got to get a kangaroo paw bottle opener. So I'm glad I was able to find that.
That was another trip I didn't get to go on.
Bummer. What were you doing then?
Flying home for my grandma's funeral.
You said. My condolences on that, man. Both for the loss and also missing that deployment. That was pretty special.
I know all the stories I heard.
Just I just found it so interesting how it seemed it was very American, I don't know, but so different, so unique, so far away from America. But the people, again, they just celebrated us. At least while we were there, when we left, they're probably like those motherfuckers. Never invite them back ever.
That's what I would have taken from the stories that you guys told.
I remember there we had we trained. You guys, Stone, you remember we went up to that Shoalwater Bay training area?
Yeah, I got a Navy Achievement Medal while we were down there.
Tell me about it.
Well, we were because we were doing that. We were, against the Westpac guys. We were the aggressors or whatever. But me and my fire team, we sat up on a hill for like 2-3 days watching the other four, the West Coast guys set up their whole perimeter, and we let them get all nice and set up, and then we went back and got the rest of the platoon and company and let them into right behind them. They'd just been sitting there. We'd been up there for days. Their CO they had a lieutenant colonel with him. He was so pissed when he was leaving because we were still up on the hill grabbing our gear, and he didn't know. He thought we were in his unit. He's like, "Where are you guys all the way up here?" And like, "We're not with you, sir. We're with 1-6." How freaking long have you guys been up here? I'm like, a couple days.
So you guys were like LPOP or something?
Yeah, just sitting up there watching them.
Oh, that's awesome. So you called us in, and we
marked how to walk right in, right up there.
Oh, that's
right there 6, man. Didn't even know where we were coming from.
That's outstanding. Yeah, that was an interesting place, the Shoalwater Bay. So the listener, this is right inland from I was told from it was northeast Australia. Queensland was the province, and Shoalwater Bay training area is like a jungle and like rolling hills, fucking kangaroos everywhere. Snake. They gives a liberty or a brief on the mission, and they got on the flora and fauna. You got all like 9 of the 12 most venomous creatures in the world were there. We never really, fortunately, ran into them. But the brown snake, these spiders, they had these big spiders that would hang between the trees. And when you were patrolling at night, I remember, a fucking spider web would drape across your nose, and then it would snap, and you'd like hear it snap. It was so big. And then you'd see these things like the size of a friggin' baseball in the daylight. So when at night, I don't care how tough you were, you fucking break that. You walk through a cobweb, and you're like, fucking flip out.
we lizards, and just throw them into the web, and they would just stick on that one web.
What'd you throw in
the
there?
spiders come down and get them. Yeah.
What'd you throw in there?
A lizard. We catch like a little lizard.
God.
And throw it up there.
Jesus.
What about that? What about, you like the showers down there, right? When we're training?
What was going on? I forgot.
With the burlap sack, you'd have to take it over, fill it up with water, throw a rope over a pole and hoist it up, and then you'd open up the shower head.
Oh, yeah.
And then if you didn't get enough water in there, then your soapy naked ass is walking back over.
Hey, fuck it.
To fill it back up.
Yeah. Really unique, man. Really unique places, some cool spots. I got another one. Check out this. You guys remember anything like this? For like making fucking checkpoints and shit on your maps. I got a map of Lejeune here, and I still have a couple little checkpoints and shit there around a patrol base there. So this is our little fucking markers, fine markers that we would use to plot points on our map, shit like that. There's Verona Loop right there. The Verona Loop.
The old clothes hanger with 3081 on it.
Nice.
Boot camp.
Very, very nice.
You get you some of your survival cards with your
very cool.
With your
I never got one of those.
So you know what not to eat.
Yeah. Oh, my feeling. We just hang up your clothing. Oh shit. What is this here?
This is a French MRE.
Nice. From Toulon?
Must have been.
Still intact?
Yeah. Everything on.
I dare you to eat that right on camera.
Fuck no.
They had the shits for a week.
Some type of sardine.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah. Crackers. Your tissue paper. Oh, a little camp stove.
Really nice.
I still have one of these, one of your old 1/6 hard booklets.
That was a great. Now that was from. Was that from us or was that from the training at NTA? Is that the one for Okie?
It's got everything in here, man. It's your little battle book. I mean, it's got you from different types of equipment to ammunition, data stuff.
Yeah,
all kinds of stuff in here. Digging your fighting positions.
Oh, nice. Very cool. Yeah, I think I have one of those too. Those are awesome. I have a battle drill guide here. Fucking.
Yep. Hey.
Got one of those.
1,000 pages big.
I need fucking glasses to read this shit now.
I don't know where book 2 went. I have 1 and 3.
Yeah, that's good shit. And last but not least, I got one of these. I don't know. I think this might have been given out at a birthday, but that is
Zembeck?
Yeah, Doug Zembeck. He fierce motivator, was one of the aforementioned lieutenants in our unit. I think he was in Bravo Company originally. Did he ever serve in Charlie? Or we just knew him from around the company area there?
I knew him because we'd go down on the beach in Okie and roll.
He wrestled.
Yeah, he wrestled in college.
Yeah, he was
like jiu-jitsu stuff. He was one hairy dude.
Hairy, very hairy. He could probably put his hands in his cargo pockets too.
Yeah.
Because I remember Suarez at one point went to Bravo, and he would always, I think Zembeck was his second lieutenant, and you'd see those guys out there. He would challenge. Yeah, he was doing like rear naked chokes and shit. He would challenge the guys, anybody come at him at any time, and they would, 2 and 3 at a time. He would grapple them and subdue those guys. He was one of the guys, like an example of I always considered him like the movie Band of Brothers or the series Band of Brothers. There was that one guy who was like really, I forget his name in the movie, but he would like, hey, what's the matter, guys? You're all pinned down. And there's a pillbox up there that's got a machine gun. He just ran over there and threw a grenade in there, and just tremendously athletic.
Yeah, he always did a bunch of triathlons and stuff too.
Triathlons, yeah. In Oki, I remember he did it was Lieutenant Triathlon, and like it was who the fuck was there? So it was, maybe Baker, maybe Sergeant Baker or Staff Sergeant then. He might have done it too, but it was Zembeck, my lieutenant, and handful of other officers, and they fucking got smoked, man. Like I remember watching that a little bit, and he was doing the bike. At one point was a bike, and it was a stationary bike, and they had already run, and behind the pedaling, all the pedaling that they were doing, there was like fucking dirt and grass, like, jetted back from just from their effort there. And then the pool and stuff. He was just this extraordinary Marine and athlete. So my point is, like, from my point of view, having met the guy a few times, he was of an athletic ability and leadership ability that even if there was something that he did not appreciate fully as a boot lieutenant, you respected him, and he was also a pretty humble guy. Went on, I believe, to be in force reconnaissance, and then rumor has it maybe the CIA, and that's how he died in combat in Iraq doing some sort of operation. So very special guy. So this challenge coin, I think, was distributed at one of our birthday celebrations down in Philly here. So that was pretty cool. Okay. What about your favorite leadership traits? JJ did tie buckle. What is your favorite leadership trait and why?
I don't know. I always like, integrity and dependability, I think, were the two, because if you're not dependable, then what's the point of having you there? It doesn't matter a lot of the other stuff. And I always thought they should have added, experience in there, but that's not one of the, traits that they have listed. But I think experience is one of the best features as well.
Yeah. Without a doubt. Mike?
I couldn't have said it better.
Yeah.
I agree 100%.
So they are, just as my recollection, just so the viewer knows, JJ did tie buckles are little acronyms. There's acronyms for everything. Judgment, justice, dependability, integrity, decisiveness, tact, initiative, enthusiasm, bearing, unselfishness, courage, knowledge, loyalty, and endurance. I think there's so many about each of those when you rattle them out like that they're all applicable. I can see why this is one of its 14 leadership traits. The one that I'm going to feature is bearing. Remember, we had to have so when you have bearing is like how you carry yourself, right? So they would say, oh, go ahead and lose your bearing, Beck. Go ahead and lose your bearing. That's like when you lose your shit, you lose your composure. And with all of our training physically and mentally, the goal was like for us to be cool under fire, right? And so that goes along with the experience you're talking about, Stone, where, you've been through something, you've done a type of training, it leaves you feeling like you got some worldliness, some wisdom, that you can maintain a certain bearing in a given situation. But I just remember the way that it was, the way you would comport yourself, the bearing, like who from 1-6 would you say had like a real impeccable bearing and like a command presence that you remember?
Judd Baker,
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Baker was
hands down, probably one of the best
Yeah.
people that portrayed that,
Yeah.
that displayed it, that lived it.
Yeah. That was the idea, right?
Yeah.
I remember Stone, who you got? You agree?
no, that was, I mean, Baker, like he was our platoon sergeant. So
Yeah. It's fucking awesome, man.
I remember that guy he had to go to dental one day for a hump, and so he was at the beginning of the hump, and most people would have just went back to their room, okay. And he ran and caught up to the unit, like went back to the barracks, got his gear, ran and caught up. He still got pressed out camis from going to dental that morning, and he knew some colonel or something, and he got to the front of the line and then ran and caught up.
Yeah. Just the epitome of squared away. And I remember, and I just the way I feel about the whole experience, and I talked to a couple other guys already, and I feel like when those two came to the unit, when Doug Berry and Judd Baker came to 1-6, they had served in 1-6 before, like they came up in 1-6, I believe, and together, so they knew each other, and then they went down to the drill field and did all that. But what they brought back was like they magnified these leadership traits and they embodied every single one of them, and it did us all a large quantity of good to have them in our midst. It's like they reminded you what that
Why you became a Marine in the first place.
Yeah. I feel like the best Marines among us reminded us of why we would be something and renewed it, like there might, because you could get out in your unit, you do your job, you could be a shitbag, you could kind of slack off. You could be like, oh, especially as a non-rate, you hate this shit. You can't imagine. Part of that, I think, is that you can't imagine things getting any better from working parties, from, being away from your family. It's kind of a bummer in the early days, we gotta talk about all the good memories, but I think a lot of time it sucked. That's why they call it the suck, quote unquote. It's not an easy life. But those guys specifically, I spent some time with Baker as well, but Barry was my platoon sergeant, and he mentored the fuck out of me, man, and believed in me, and cultivated a really good environment in the platoon, and gave it just refreshed everything. Not that it was terrible before, it's just that they brought something really, really special that made you want to be like, fucking A, all right, I get it. And then you maybe make a little bit rank, you're corporal. So then they're showing you, hey, this is what life can be like. But I think for a lot of people, especially after we got out, they had the Lance, terminal Lance. Yeah. I think imagine that if like you never were able to advance and get to the point where you were a non-commissioned officer. You could see what that was. Some of the guys that had gotten in trouble, right? That had gotten whatever, a DUI or lost rank, their morale sucked. So as you would climb, if you saw some kind of future or possibilities beyond being, just the life of a standard grunt with the field days and PT and all that shit, they made you see the options, see the possibilities, want to be better. And they were both awesome individuals. I agree.
We got fortunate in third because, right after, Baker got there, then we got Rollins.
Yeah. Buck Rollins.
So we had it, now you got a good first lieutenant, then you've got a good platoon sergeant, working together.
Yeah. That's incredibly important for the culture and the Marines. And, I was saying about my experiences with Forsman. Forsman came in, brought something. Him and Barry worked together for a while. Then we got a new lieutenant, Alfredo Franco. We had a good thing. If you can get that good leadership and senior enlisted, and then a squared away lieutenant, that trickles down, man. That's tremendous for morale. Keeps everything the way it should be. squared away in a unit. Very, very special. Stone. Now, Mike, I know you got out. You did 4 and got out. Yes.
Yeah.
Stone, you went to you do a stint Marine security guard duty?
Yeah, I did. I did embassy duty. Yeah, I did an extension for. I did it like a 3-month extension just to make sure I'd make it through the school because of the attrition rate at the school. Which that was kind of funny because I think I was the only. They had like 84, 85 people started the school and they graduated like, I don't know, 20.
Really?
Yeah. It was 6 weeks long. It was, 12-hour days. It was, just classroom time, and you did some stuff with, weapons and stuff, but I think I was the only grunt that was in the school. Like, because by the time I got there, like the instructors would have like 3 ribbons.
Really?
Like, yeah, like it was all, and I didn't have enough time to do another post, so I went back to the headquarters there at Quantico for the last few months that I was in. But yeah, it was all admin people.
And you felt like a stud?
Well, yeah, the PT that they were doing was kind of a joke, and it was yeah.
That's
So
great.
It was a good time, and Bolivia was nice.
Tell us a little bit about that experience. What was life like as a Marine security guard in Bolivia?
You kind of live like a rock star. I mean, you live in a mansion with the other Marines. The houses have to meet certain criteria, security wise, because they have a local police force that guard the Marine house. But you have a couple chauffeurs, you got a maid and a cook, you've got your own bar there, weight room. We had some sand volleyball courts out back to, play volleyball in or whatever. And you usually work at, a couple days, different shifts, and then you have a couple days off.
Just friggin' hang out, friggin' go out in town.
Yeah. Hang out, another Marine. We were like a medium or low threat post, so we weren't like confined to the embassy grounds or anything. So, but yeah, because you weren't married, you couldn't get married while you were on it. If you were one of the NCOs, the staff sergeants they could have, a family and stuff down there, but they just go hang out at the bars, when you're off, go, visit different sites, down there, you have like Titicaca and all that stuff that you can go to. But it's a super high, our PFT, I remember they changed to get a perfect PFT. You only had to run the 3 miles in 22 minutes or less, and not 18. So they gave you an extra 4 minutes because of the elevation.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it was the first week or two you're down there. You can't walk up one flight of stairs without getting winded.
What was the elevation?
I'm not sure off the top of my head. We were up there pretty good. We had a SEAL come down one time, and he didn't adhere to the protocol of not PTing for not any rigorous first month you're down there, and he ended up with a brain embolism because he tried to go out and tried to do his regular PT.
Yeah.
So
that was cool. So you're glad he did that?
Yeah, it was a good time. Get to meet ambassadors and presidents and all that jazz.
Yeah.
Work with some CIA folks and
got the security clearance.
Yeah, got your diplomatic. I think I still have it in here. Got your diplomatic passports. Hey, get yourself one of them nice little black passports.
Very cool. Nice memento.
Yeah. They can't search any of your luggage or anything.
Wow.
So
That's cool.
Stone, I'm checking out those tattoos. I mean, I know I was looking at them last time you were in for the Marine Corps birthday. You guys get any post You guys got any post-service fucking moto tattoos?
Yeah, well, you were over there when a lot of us got our little 1/6 stuff.
Yeah. I didn't get that. I gotta get that. I was like, this is a temptation. I got a fucking this baby. Check out that fucking motivator thing.
Nice.
I got that at Zeke's in fucking. It's hey, that's fucking Latin for no better friend, no worse enemy. You see the little 1/6. 1/6 should be in there somewhere. There you go. 1/6. It took me 20 years to get. I got a little shark back in the early days of fucking MCT and all that shit. I got a little shark back here. Everybody else is getting like barbed wire around this. Yeah. You got that?
Yeah.
I got the
barbed wire.
I got the little, the logo on my calf with "Get Hard, Stay Hard."
Yeah,
the 1/6 logo. So
that's fucking fierce, man. I love it.
I want to get that.
Yeah, definitely, and that would stick around for a long time.
Yeah,
the resolution should hang out. So it's
some people don't know how to take the "Get Hard, Stay Hard" around the outside of it.
I know. So I'm gonna head to the gym after this, and I'm thinking, I can't wear this at fucking Planet Fitness. People are gonna be like, hey, look at this guy, fucking Planet Fitness. Look at him, fucking get hard, stay hard. Look at him. He's got a little fucking pitch in the tent.
But you could, as you walk by the little candy thing, and get your little candy bar.
Hell yeah. Little fucking Tootsie Roll.
Yeah.
All right. Let's fucking.
Hey, speaking about moto tattoos, I forgot when we got there. I forget who the cat was, but it was one of those dudes that he was in trouble, just gotten out of the brig, came back to 1/6, and they made me drive him around the headquarters and all this shit to do his final checkout and all that. Well, he's like, hey, you drive me one other place? I'm like, yeah. We drove out to a tattoo parlor, and he got a Marine Corps tattoo the day he got out.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I wonder who that was.
I forget. He was in my platoon, whoever he was.
Yeah. There's some folks that you remember very, very well, and others that escape your memory. One I'm gonna try to get in contact with him from weapons there. Rinks. Remember Rinks? He's a guy. Supposedly there was an altercation. He hit a guy with another guy with a fire extinguisher or something like that. Anyway, he's
to Bartimus too.
Who? Bartimus. Hell yeah, man. So
he's retired now.
He's retired.
Yeah.
He was a major in MARSOC, right?
Yeah. He went to, because I went down. The funny story about that is after he got out of officer candidate school and whatnot, and he was stationed back down at Lejeune. I went down one weekend. He was living down in Wilmington, him and another lieutenant. And we were at a bar out in town. And I look over and I'm like, George, that guy looks familiar. Like, I swear we know him from somewhere. And we go over and start bullshitting with him. And here it's Oster. We're just out and managed to run into him at a bar. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's Wilmington.
That's pretty fucking awesome, man. Okay, let's do a little round robin here. What is the funniest thing you ever remember, funniest occasion you ever experienced in the Marines in 1/6? What is the best training you've ever done? That's then the funniest for the end. The best training that you remember doing, you really enjoyed, and the funniest thing that you remember. I'll start just so you guys can think about that. The best training that I remember doing was indeed in Shoalwater Bay in Queensland, Australia. That was my now the funniest, I know that's tough because there's so many fucking incredible memories. but I'm going to say the funniest was when the night before we flew out to Guantanamo Bay, we all shaved our heads and went out on the town, wound up at the Jack Shack. And, you know, the night went on. And then we get to Gitmo, and we're all running around with fucking bald heads, PTing and shit. I remember I got fucking sun poisoning, and I fucking the blisters on my head would weep and run down my fucking face during the day while I was walking post. That was not funny. But the night before we went out to Okinawa, I got some pictures of it. Looks like we're laughing our asses off. So that was pretty good. Okay, so the best training you remember, and then the funniest occasion. Who's going?
Some of the coolest training was, I can't remember if it was, I think it was in Korea, and we went to that rappel site.
Yeah, I missed
the rock plate, and then we had to walk on that bridge. And the first time we ever got to rappel, you know, face forward. But seeing those guys and what they did, they'd get up there, they'd wrap the leg or the rope around their leg, and they would just slide down like with the guns.
Yeah,
I mean, that was pretty insane.
The rock boys, right?
Yeah. The funniest was Staff Sergeant Frazier. For part of our PT, we would go run, and we'd end up at this little, I don't know, it was like a little mortar training area, and he'd have us box in there.
Yeah.
He was, you know, something we weren't supposed to do, but he just wanted us to go in there and beat the shit out of each other.
That's good. Yeah.
Well, I called him out, and him and I went at it, and I just freaking destroyed his face, his head.
Really?
Yeah. We got back to, we were in afternoon formation, and we had Smith JD in our platoon. He was one of those, as you were saying, terminal Lance Corporals, just, hey, send me on working party versus going to the field.
Yeah.
He came back and he walked straight up to Staff Sergeant Frazier and was like, "Damn, Staff Sergeant, was your wife kissing your head?" Because I hit him so hard, it looked like he had little like lip marks on his.
Nice. Hey, man, that's what you get. That was good training. I remember seeing you guys, I guess, on the Ponce, on the flight deck, doing rounds of or somebody was doing rounds of boxing there. I thought it was one of our Charlie Company platoons, and I thought that was great training, man. I think we should have all been doing that all the time.
Yeah,
stuff like that, whether it's grappling or striking or whatever. That's a good one, man. That's a good memory.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Stoner.
I don't know. I liked some of the stuff we did out at CAX, out there. I thought there was a couple of pages that I really enjoyed, where you'd have the 31s, you could watch the bullets hitting, 20 yards in front of you as you're going from trench to trench,
Oh yeah.
And I got to shoot AT-4s a lot out there, so
that was cool.
It was always kind of That was always kind of nice. I mean, we always had funny stuff going on, especially with us, because Barry was in my platoon, so Barry was always providing some type of comic relief.
Falling on Tillman.
Yeah,
the night fast roping.
Yeah.
Yeah,
causing a backup on the fast rope, at the bottom.
He got fucked up from that, right? He got hurt, right?
Tillman did.
Okay.
Tillman saw, I think Barry did too, because he fell on his pack, and I think Tillman was coming down after him, and he saw that Barry still on, he hadn't cleared, so he kind of pushed off, and he landed and got himself hurt too. But there was when we were in, it might have been Spain. I alluded to the story a little bit in the text, but we were walking back, and I'd always like get a beer glass or something from like you're out at a bar and it's got like the name on it. You get it and take it back. But we were walking back, and I saw these Johnny Walker bar stools sitting outside of this cafe. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take one of these bar stools back to the ship. So I grabbed this stool, and we had charter buses, back, and I put it under the bus, I carry this thing onto the ship, request to come aboard, and they let me on with it, and obviously we'd been out drinking, and I get up the next morning, I'm like, and I put it in the corner of the berthing area. I'm like, I'm going to go check out this bar stool that I picked up last night. There, and I sit on it, my feet are like 4 feet from the ground. I didn't steal a stool. I stole a whole damn table that now I didn't know what to do with it. So I gave it to the captain's cook, and he stored it in his berthing area. And then I forgot to get it when we got back to Norfolk. But it was I'm like, I thought in my mind, in my drunkenness, I thought I had like a little bar stool.
Yeah, you got an entire.
I'm like, how did they let me on the ship with this?
Oh my God.
Like just walking up here with a big ass table. Making through the berthing areas,
I'm sure the quartermasters, whoever was serving that duty, quartermaster for the viewer is who stands on the quarter, right? The quarter deck.
Quarter deck.
So somebody's just like we would stand guard at a post. The quartermaster, I believe, is standing on at the top of the deck when they put a friggin' stairwell up, and that's where you get on and off the ship. So you come up, permission to come aboard, and you got a fucking gigantic table with you running an antique shop, But some of the shit that those guys must have seen,
they probably got some stories.
Definitely make for some incredible memories. So
only if we had cell phones back then.
Oh my God! Can you imagine now with like the little technology how they, you're in a fighting hole or something like that? Who's got their fucking cell phone out there?
Yeah.
I mean,
they're watching TikTok.
I bet you like the repercussions for that has got to be this whole, so complex, right? Here we were just, but yet again, if you're calm, I don't know what kind of radios they carry now, but our shit was all like Vietnam era, right? The Prick 77s and 69s or whatever, but 68s rather. If you had a cell phone on you and you really needed to do something, communicate with somebody, I'm sure it caused more problems than anything else. Joe Blow was out there on fucking listening posts, observation posts, playing, some game on his fucking phone or something like that. Gets busted down in rank. So anyway, okay. So last but not least, and it's a beautiful day out there, guys. I really appreciate your allotting some time for this. This is really important. I think that it's been great with the guys listening to other people's podcasts and try to get everybody we can get on here, that some of the guys from the old unit, and just see if we can extract all the good stuff from back in the day. And I think it'll only bring us together more and help us remember a very important time in our lives. But what does Semper Fidelis mean to you guys?
Well, just what it says, always faithful.
Right.
Willing to take time out of your day to do this podcast. You asking, us saying yes. Why? Because we have that respect and love and brotherhood that we formed, 30 some years ago.
Yeah.
That we can get together and, if I did this with two guys I went to high school with, podcast would have ended. See, we're an hour 43. It probably would have ended an hour and 42 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Just, you don't have that same connection.
Yeah. That's a
bond.
Excellent point, man. You think, Stoner?
No, right around the same sentiments, like I said, Tillman came up here for a little while, like we've gone over to Philly, like, you just keep in touch with all these guys. Like that's really all my Facebooks, mostly you guys.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just keeping up with guys that we were in with because, you've got everybody's phone numbers, but I'm not a big talking on the phone. Like gonna call you every week, be like, "Hey, how was your week, OB?" Yeah. But
it's a pretty special shit.
Actually, it was funny out of the blue. Clint texted me 4 days ago.
Clinton?
Yeah, Josh Clint.
Yeah.
Remember him?
Yeah.
He was in your platoon.
Yep.
But he texted me, "Hey, how you doing? Good." I sent him the link to the podcast, let him know that we're on it. He's like, "Tell OB And Stone, I said, "What's up?" He's going to retire soon. He's a firefighter out west, so he does jumping out of the planes and
smoke jumping shit.
Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah,
I think that was a character. I remember him peeing on the dance.
Peeing on that dance floor.
Yeah, like in Bartimus was on camp guard, like so he had to come bring him up, and Bartimus had to act like he didn't know. With him. He had to act like he didn't know him because they were like, "Hey, there was another first sergeant. I need that Marine's name." He's like, "Oh, I'll let you know as soon as I find out what he's in." Like, he's like, I'll let you know as soon as I find out. And he brings him back up to me. He's like, "Hey, Clint was pissed on the dance floor in Okie." And they gave him a mop bucket, and he started to clean it up, and then he just dropped it and ran.
What was it, the E Club or out in town?
Yeah, the E Club.
Jesus Christ, man.
He had a room with me because you guys just didn't have enough room. So I was looking for him, like, where the fuck is he? And in Okie, we were on the third floor.
Yeah.
What the fuck? And I'm like, did he run outside? I go move the curtain over. He's sitting on the freaking ledge.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Some crazy bastards out there, man. Yeah. Well, Semper Fi, it's like, an extension of that. Semper Fidelis means always faithful. That's Latin for always faithful. So, back in the day, say faithful to, God, country, core, whatever. But really it means it brings to mind the Brotherhood. And that was all it was about, time in our lives when we were stripped away of family and all of our civilian stuff. We had one another, and we didn't really know each other at first, but we became closer than family. And so that is a bond that is unbreakable. A little thing. So the Making Motivation podcast, when I started it up, I said, I always go, and even in my office here, when I have a patient back there, but I don't have a light to turn off when they flip over, so I can adjust them on their back, face up. The lights in their face. So to my front desk here, I go, and she turns the lights off, and she does it. But you know what? It's cool is that when she comes in the morning, we do that as well. She comes in. I'm already started with for the day, and we got a busy day ahead. She'll go when she arrives, and it tells me she understands. I'm here. I'm ready. I'm prepared to start my day, and we're motivated, and we're going to fucking have a great day. And, despite other things. So like Semper Fi, all these little Marine Corps isms, all the leadership traits, all that stuff, I think is really applicable for life, even if we, sometimes we take it for granted and forget where it came from. But I think we're very fortunate to have met one another and served together. And I love you guys dearly, and I appreciate the time you put together for this. And an hour, 48 minutes into this, it's a beautiful day. I want to cut you guys loose on Libo and spend some time with your families.
All right, brother.
We'll do this again, man. Thank you very much, and Semper Fi.
Semper Fi.
Take care, dudes.